What's going on, everyone? So in Scream 6, we saw the first introduction of three Ghostface all at once, right? Now, technically, you could go and say that there were five, but I'm talking about the main Ghostface killers. So you had Jason and Greg, but the three main were, the Ritchie family. Also, you had that like really cool scene with the double, swipe of the blade, which all got negated because Chad ended up surviving. That was very upsetting. That was very disappointing. But nonetheless, right, you had the kind of like Scream 6 in general kind of felt like all the things that fans had been talking about and wanting to see over the years kind of thrown in, an early Ghostface reveal, early Ghostface death. You got three killers. Like there was just all these little things that I actually appreciated in that regard. I have my issues, my gripes with Scream 6, but I did enjoy it kind of felt like a film that, the writers in the studio kind of listened to fans on and went, hey, let's try this to see how this goes. But I did like the idea of three killers, particularly for that film. And going forward now, it really begs the question of how many Ghostface should they have, right? Because, historically speaking, it's always basically been two. I know Scream 3 only had one that was Roman, but even that really felt like watch that movie and watch that movie closely. There had to have been two killers. There are literal moments where Ghostface teleports, and there's no way that Ghostface could be where he's at. Roman's fakes his death, puts on makeup, does all this stuff while Ghostface is running around killing people, and it's like he's sitting there for who knows how long until somebody finds him, and yet Ghostface is taking people out. It's just, there's a lot in Scream 3 that just didn't add up for one killer. But nonetheless, all we know, even to this day, that it had one killer, so it's all we can go off on. I do like the idea and the theory of hey, there was another one, particularly Angelina. But nonetheless, right, you look at Scream 1, 2, 4, and now 5, and then 6 and 3 were the two outliers, right? Those were the two that kind of broke the mold as far as killer counts go. So the question I want to pose to you all, and of course I want to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, is what should be the number of Ghostface, at least for Scream 7? Or even, going forward in general, but Scream 7 in particular, because that's the film that we know for sure is supposed to be coming out. Now, I don't think that they should go the solo Ghostface route. Now, I don't mind if they did, but I think that the film has to be very specific with Ghostface, right? So, Scream 5, I think, is a great example of how I think you could kind of get away with one killer, right? And there was a lot of talk, and, there's still to this day is kind of a lot of rumors of did Amber just go around killing everybody? Or was it Ritchie that had a hand in a killer too? Because even if you just look at that film and the timeline and the gaps in between things, it's kind of hard to kind of pinpoint. You can make an argument for a couple kills for Ritchie, but I think that you can make a bigger argument that Ritchie didn't kill anybody. But it was the form in which the kills took place, right? So you looked at Scream 5, all of those kills were quick surprise attacks, got in and got out. There wasn't this playing around, right? Where look at the classic 96. Last question, which door are we at, right? It's a lose-lose because there's one at the front, one at the back, right? So you were Ghostface was able to kind of conduct themselves in a specific manner because there are multiple, right? One could lead, the target to the other and still come out ahead, and you could approach the kill scenes differently. But if there's only one killer, like I said, it kind of gets with Scream 3 where it just doesn't add up and make sense, and it kind of gets to the point where it just kind of feels like a fantasy more than it is a reality. It's one of the things that I really love about Scream is that yes, there is movie logic, and yes, there are, movie type scenes and, scenes and stuff that kind of pander to an audience because it is still a film. It is still a movie. but a lot of it is based in realism. A lot of it is based on, just like stuff we see regularly when you turn on the news. It's crazy, but it's the reality. I mean, usually it's gun over a knife, but still, like, and so it is one of those things that I've always really enjoyed about Scream, and why it's my favorite horror franchise. It's because it's something that you can see happening, you can envision yourself being in, and you can envision yourself kind of like seeing things play out in reality, rather than, say like a paranormal film or possession film or whatever, which, I love me those type of supernatural paranormal type horror films, but, like, how real are they at times? And they're usually over dramatized. And whether you believe, because, many people do believe that there are, real demons and ghosts and all that stuff, and people have had hauntings and stuff. And yes, there are people that don't. But even regardless what side of the fence you're on, it is such an extreme where somebody with a knife anybody can do that, right? Like, that happens regularly, and it's happened for real throughout history, right? Like, there's no question of like, is that real? Is it not? It's definitely real. So I do like that. But when you get into like the one killer route, a lot of times it's hard to paint a very realistic scene, because it's like, the killer's coming through the front door, and they're either they got to do something silly where they run upstairs, or they hide in a closet or something where that Ghostface kill them, or they just like run out the door, and then Ghostface comes to the other side and takes them out. And it's like, how Sway? Like, it's just, it can get a little carried away at times. So to me, I think you have to minimum have two killers. I think that should be kind of the continued standard. Now, I don't mind them going and extending beyond that, right? Like, I wouldn't mind if, they decided to make 3 the new standard going forward, right? But I do like the level of mystery. I do like that occasional, like, I don't mind the 2 standard. But there is kind of that feeling of like, okay, it becomes predictable. Like, okay, 2 of these people are Ghostface, right? So like, that was kind of the thing with Scream 3. It's like, if you watch Scream 1 and 2, you were like, okay, which 2 of these guys are the killers? And then you find out, oh no, it's just one, right? So it kind of threw a wrench in the whole thing, right? Because that's part of the whodunit. That's part of the mystery. While we're watching the film, we're kind of analyzing, and, oh, it's got to be this person and this person. Oh, no, it's got to be these people. Like, oh, are they going to do 2 guys? Nah, they got to, maybe a guy and a girl. Like, are they going to do 2 girls this time? Right? Like, you're going through this, like, process through Scream movies, which is part of the fun. But so, like, when you have this, like, okay, there's always going to be 2 killers, then you can kind of narrow it down. But I do like the kind of monkey wrench thrown in on occasion for a film, where, like I said, Scream 3, you had 1, Scream 6, you had 3, and it was like, oh, snap, like, the fake death, all that stuff. Like, there was, again, some fun. But I just think for the way that you want to properly set up kills and various scenes and kind of make things kind of make sense, while keeping the realism, I think 2, in my opinion, is the standard in which they should maintain. And then they can always, expand it. Like I said, you can go 3 killers. If you want to go the cult route, right? I mean, you could go several different killers if you wanted to. I mean, I don't want it to get and feel carried away. Like, Scream 5 and 6 has really kind of laid the groundwork and kind of been nudging you towards this, like, cult that feels like it's inevitable to pop up. Like, there's just going to be all these killers, and, the dreaded thread and all that stuff. Like, it definitely feels like that's a direction in which they're teasing and hinting to, and very likely will at some point kind of have that be kind of like the running point of the film, or the franchise. But, like, I'm okay with it if it's done properly. Like, I don't want a cult in the sense of, like, they're gathering around and having ceremonies and sacrifices in the name of the Ghostface deity or something like that. Like, no, I just want it more of a club, more of like this psychotic club than a actual, like, traditional sense of a cult, right? But even then, like, I don't want it to get too convoluted, right? Like, so, like, for example, something that comes to mind is the original idea for, I think it was Scream 3, which was that there was going to be this cult, and Stu was supposed to be the cult leader and whatnot. And again, I don't necessarily think Stu comes back, but I'm just using this as an example. Is so one of the things was that, like, you would have this cult and all these characters that were dying, and then at the end there'd be this reveal that, oh, they weren't dead, that they were all still alive, right? And it'd be, like several, 5, 6, 7 plus the cult leader. Like, I don't know how I mean, obviously, execution, storytelling, delivery, all that stuff is very important. But I don't know how I would have felt about that. Like, I don't know if it really would have landed. Because it's like, you get to a point where, okay, you start having 7, 8, 9 Ghostface. It's like, how does anyone survive that 1 and 2? It's like I just feel like it gets kind of carried away. Too many cooks in the kitchen, right? It's just kind of like, okay, like, if they really wanted this person dead, why don't they just all just kind of show up together, or like 4 of them show up together and just all take this person out at once and make it swift? Like, no, it's just, I just, again, it kind of can make things a little bit oversaturated, I guess, right? But regardless, right? Like, again, it's all in the delivery. Because, like I said, Scream 5, I think, is a Scream film where if you wanted to have just one killer, I think you could have gotten away with it. Because, again, all the kills they weren't these, like, play with your food type kills. They were all just very, like Vince was surprise attack, boom, stab in the neck, done, right? Wes, Judy was surprised. Like, they were all these surprise attack kills that they didn't see coming. I mean, Liv, right? Like, yeah, the list goes on and on. Like, if you watch all those kills in that movie, they were all these, like, quick, no nonsense, just like, oh no, he's behind you, boom, type kills, right? And so if you did something like that, I think you could get away with one killer. But if you start doing things where, you have, characters running this way and Ghostface is over here, and it's like all of a sudden Ghostface pops up in front, like, like the whole Jason thing, where it's like somebody's running 30 miles an hour and somehow Jason, who's just like taking a stroll, magically appears in front of everybody, right? Like, but it's fun with, like, a Friday the 13th. It's fun with the Jason, because Jason is this, like, supernatural type character. And we're Scream, it's like, if you're gonna keep it realistic, like, even if the guy's a track star, he can't get to the point in which they meet him at times, and it's just, it gets a little silly, in my opinion. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? How many Ghostface do you want in Scream 7? How many Ghostface would you like going forward? Are you in the camp of, like, hey, let's have, the 2 standard? Do you think, like, no, 3 should be the new standard? Do you think you should have several, right? Like, and when is it too many? Like, what's your number for too many? Like, I would be cool with, like, 5. Right? You got, like, say, like, the leader, and then, like, 3 to 4 patsies, right? Like, something like 4 or 5, I think, would be fine, right? Because, more times than not, like, the leader isn't going to want to, like, get their hands there. Because, I mean, like, look at, again, kind of tying in the original trilogy, right? Like, there was always, you can make an argument, always 3, right? Because with Roman dated back, but Roman was kind of the mastermind and leader. He was, like, kind of the cult leader. And he didn't really want to get his hands dirty until Scream 3. But then after everyone kept failing to kill Sidney, he's like, let me take it on myself. Right? Like, I could see something like that. I think something like that could be fun, where you have this mastermind that, Ghostface coming in, and you have 3 or 4 that are kind of like wounding the animal, and then the mastermind, the main Ghostface kind of comes in and takes him out, right? Like, he gets the final kill type thing. Like, I would be down for something like that. But again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.